Hello, Detective.
My partner wants to bring you in for interfering with an investigation and robbery, but I wanted to give you the chance to come in on your own and clear up this misunderstanding. On our way up now.
Fucking balls! Where are you?
Parked out front.
She's not... That's bad.
Lindy Lewis's life opens with a childhood defined by neglect, both parents too wrapped up in themselves to notice her. The emotional damage grew as she did, eventually manifesting as intermittent explosive disorder. Her temper can ignite over the smallest trigger. Years of failed treatments, and even a stint in the military meant to channel her aggression produced no real progress. Her psychiatrist, Dr. Munchin, ultimately created a specialized shock vest designed to jolt her body whenever she feels a surge of violent impulse, helping her stop fights before they begin. Trying to build some normalcy, Lindy agrees to a date with a guy named Justin. She almost backs out, but convinces herself to try, since he seems genuinely kind. During their conversation, a waiter repeatedly messes up Justin's order, irritating Lindy, though she manages to hold back her temper. But in the restroom, she overhears the waitress mocking Justin, and her anger spikes. Lindy attempts to use the vest to calm herself, only to discover it isn't functioning. With nothing to restrain her, she snaps, confronting and attacking the waitress before bolting out of the restaurant without telling Justin what happened. The next morning, Lindy brings the malfunctioning vest to Dr. Munchin and asks him to fix it. While repairing it, he asks how her date went. Lindy insists it was a disaster, disappointed that she hurt someone yet again. Though he gets the vest working, the doctor reminds her that the real solution isn't the device. It's forming a genuine bond with someone. He pushes her to give relationships another chance. She leaves without commenting, but despite planning to cut ties with Justin, she unexpectedly calls him and asks to meet again. Their second outing goes surprisingly well, and she even opens up about her love for photography. Back at her place, Justin leans in to kiss her, which instantly worries her, fearful she might lose control and harm him too. He eventually notices her shock vest but isn't bothered by it, choosing to stay with her for the night. The next morning, he surprises her with a camera. The thoughtful gesture touches her deeply, and when he gently asks about her medical gear, she reluctantly explains her condition. She invites him to stay longer, but he has to return to his accounting job. Before leaving, he asks her to come over for dinner at his place, lifting her spirits and leaving her hopeful in a way she hasn't felt in years. Elated by the unexpected connection, Lindy shares her excitement with Dr. Munchin, telling him she didn't even need the vest the previous night and wondering if this relationship might be different. After leaving his office, she spends the day taking photos with her new camera. As she prepares for dinner at Justin's place, she receives a text from him saying he might be running late. When she calls to check in, a detective named Vickers answers instead, informing her that Justin has been killed. Shaken, Lindy rushes to the police station, where Vickers and his partner, Detective Nevin, tell her Justin's body was found dumped in a skip. Convinced they aren't treating the case seriously enough, she decides she'll investigate herself. She attends Justin's funeral, mourning the loss of someone she barely had time to know but genuinely cared for. Overwhelmed and unable to contain her emotions, she visits Dr. Munchin again, who prescribes sedatives to help her calm down. When she wakes, she tells him she suspects Justin's only client, a man named Barry, might be involved in the murder. Dr. Munchin urges her to let law enforcement handle the matter, but Lindy is determined to act on her own. Ignoring his warnings, she storms out of the clinic, threatening him on her way out. Still convinced the police won't move fast enough, Lindy calls Detective Vickers and asks him to meet her at her apartment. After he leaves the station, she sneaks into the evidence room, grabbing Justin's belongings. Using his wallet, she finds his home address and heads to his flat to search for anything that might point to a suspect. While she's digging through his things, Vickers calls, furious about her breaking into police property. He warns her that his partner wants to arrest her, but he's giving her one last chance, though Nevin is already on her way. Lindy bolts out of the flat but runs right into Nevin at the door. Nevin accuses her of murder and tries to bring her in. Because Vickers is still on the phone, Lindy holds it out for Nevin to hear, then uses the moment to strike Nevin and escape. She snatches Justin's McLaren from the parking garage and speeds off. Nevin and Vickers chase her but end up crashing during the pursuit, allowing Lindy to get away. The next morning, she visits a phone store and begs the manager to connect her with someone who can access Justin's locked phone. The manager leads her to a hacker named Andy. As Andy digs through the device, she wonders if Justin was dealing drugs since all his data had been wiped. Lindy explains he was just an accountant. Andy uncovers the last several calls, all from an arms dealer named Barry Crisari, Justin's only client. Lindy thanks her and leaves the McLaren keys with her, deciding she's going after Barry on her own. When Lindy tracks down Barry's location, she discovers he runs an underground fight ring where men pay to brawl for entertainment. She confronts him about Justin's death, but he pretends to know nothing. Instead, he taunts her and proposes a deal. If she can beat his 3 strongest fighters, he'll give her the answers she wants. Lindy accepts without hesitation. After she defeats all 3 men, Barry keeps his word and takes her to his car, but his men quickly turn on her, attempting to kill her to tie up loose ends. Lindy fights back with brutal efficiency, overpowering them and forcing Barry to talk. Under pressure, he reveals that Justin was killed on the orders of his employer, Gareth Fisel. Barry warns her that going after Fisel will be nearly impossible. He's powerful, protected, and even government agencies avoid crossing him. Meanwhile, Detective Nevin visits Vickers in the hospital, reminding him of Lindy's history of violent outbursts and expressing her concern that Lindy will seriously hurt someone. After Nevin leaves, Lindy sneaks in and thanks Vickers for trying to warn her earlier. She also tells him she's uncovered the man behind Justin's murder and wants him arrested. Vickers insists they need evidence before acting. When he asks why she's so determined, given that she barely knew Justin, Lindy explains that he was the only genuinely kind person she'd met in a long time. Moved by her sincerity, Vickers quietly gives her Fisel's address but urges her not to go alone. Nevin then arrives and tries to arrest Lindy, but she manages to slip away yet again. Lindy reaches Fisel's office building where his head of security, Delroy, offers to escort her upstairs. But once they're alone in the elevator, he suddenly strikes her, knocking her to the floor. Suspicious of her intentions, he questions why she's looking for Fisel. Lindy insists she only wants justice for Justin and isn't connected to him by family. Delroy chooses to spare her life but confiscates her shock vest and forces her out of the building. In the car taking her away, she panics without the device and begs the driver to stop. When he refuses, she lashes out, causing a crash and using the chaos to escape. Still determined, she returns to Dr. Munchin and demands a new device, recounting everything she's survived so far. Later, she heads back to her apartment only to find the front door smashed and the place ransacked. Slipping inside through a window, she discovers a bomb planted by Fisel's men, meant to kill her the moment she walked in. She disarms the explosive, takes it with her, and rigs another device in the apartment to fake her own death. As she exits the building, she runs into Vickers, who tries to detain her for her own protection. Before he can act, the staged explosion goes off, distracting him long enough for her to vanish again. Vickers calls her, begging her to stop pursuing Fisel and let law enforcement step in, but Lindy believes they'll never touch him and continues with her plan. Lindy returns to Fisel's headquarters and is immediately intercepted by Delroy again. This time, he drags her straight to Fisel. In the office, Fisel calmly admits to ordering Justin's death, along with several others, showing no remorse. Lindy strains to keep her temper from exploding, but Delroy knocks her out with a blow to the head before she can act. She wakes up tied to a chair. Drawing on sheer determination, she breaks free and ambushes Delroy, forcing him to reveal the location of Fisel's private office. As she fights her way through the building, more guards rush her, but she manages to overpower them one by one. When she finally reaches the hidden office, she finds Fisel already dead. Before she can process what happened, Justin steps into the room. Alive. Lindy is stunned, remembering she watched his funeral. Justin then explains the truth. He's actually a CIA agent who used her as a pawn to reach Fisel because the agency didn't want to get involved directly. He reveals that Dr. Munchin works with them and recommended her because the government funded his research. Justin attempts to torture her with the shock device, but she no longer reacts to it. She's built a resistance after so many uses. Lindy fights back, hurling her bag at him and fleeing. Justin chases her, demanding to know why she's resisting, but a bomb detonates before he can stop her, killing him instantly. After escaping the blast, Lindy seeks out Dr. Munchin and confronts him, accusing him of using her as a test subject for his own benefit. Terrified, he apologizes and insists he didn't know Justin's true motives or the CIA's full plan. As they argue, Vickers and Nevin arrive to see Lindy pinning the doctor against the wall. Thinking she's about to kill him, they fire a shot and hit her in the leg, but moments later they realize she wasn't attacking him, she was handcuffing him so he could be taken into custody. Once the situation becomes clear, Vickers expresses his respect for her bravery and helps get her to the hospital. Both detectives assist with covering her tracks and even return her shock device, which had been taken as evidence. While riding in the ambulance, Vickers shyly asks her out, and Lindy says she'll think about it. After recovering from her injury and being discharged, she heads back to her old apartment to collect whatever belongings survived the staged explosion. In the final moments, she's approached by a mysterious woman who reveals herself to be Justin's superior. The woman explains that Lindy has been on their radar for years. They've been watching her, studying her, and now want to recruit her, hoping to harness her rage to target dangerous individuals. And that, my friends, is how it ended. If you've made it to the end, hit the like button, comment, and share. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next recap.